As you go about your days, there's usually only one overarching thing that you are occupied with, or worried about, and that is the stability or betterment of your life. This statement can be said to be true for a large portion of people. However, there are those who have their hopes and worries placed elsewhere. Hopes and worries that aren't garnered towards their current life, but are more so honed in on their life after death, the afterlife. When nearing one's death, they and those around them will prepare them for the afterlife. They wish that they will pass to a better place, a place where they can rest happily for eternity. This is especially true for the Egyptians. You see, the Egyptians saw the afterlife as a paradise for those who passed on. However, reaching this paradise was no easy task. It was believed that the journey to the afterlife was full of dangers and dead needed protection on their journey towards it. This protection was provided to the dead via their mummified remains. How you were mummified would determine how successful your journey to the afterlife would be. One shining example of one of these mummies is the mummy of a man named Herakleides. Currently located in the Getty, there's not much known about Herakleides. In fact, everything we do know about him is from what's included on and in his mummy. We only know his name due to imaging the inscription with infrared reflectography. This made the faded inscription in black paint above his feet legible and show up as that, which in English reads as Herakleides, son of Thermos. Alongside his name, a technical study of his mummified remains, the portrait, and the shroud allowed us to confirm that he lived around 120 to 140 AD. Alongside this, a CAT scan was performed at a hospital which allowed us to look inside and study that. From the scan, it was shown that Herakleides was around 18 to 20 years old when he died, but the cause of death is unknown. Due to the CAT scan, there was something unexpected discovered as well, but I'll get back to that later. Looking at the cover of the mummy, alongside the portrait there are a few icons that have been painted on. All these icons hold some sort of meaning and importance, especially when regarding the afterlife. On the top of the mummy, around the chest area, you can see two falcons facing each other, both of which are wearing crowns. These falcons could have been used to represent the god Horus, the son of the god of the dead Osiris. At both of the shoulders, you can also see the icons known as the Eye of Horus. These two falcons are both facing a crown in between them. This specific crown was one that was usually worn by goddesses, and this could have been used to represent the goddess Isis or Hathor. Below the falcons, there is a figure who is also wearing a crown, similar to the one the falcons were staring at. The figure is a goddess with the wings outstretched, holding two feathers, one in each hand. This is meant to represent Ma'at, which represents balance or justice. This goddess could represent the sky goddess Nun, or the goddess Isis, both of which serve a protective function. Both goddesses have been used on mummies before and are depicted to show them protecting the deceased on their way to the afterlife. Underneath the figure of the goddess is the icon of an ibis, wearing a sun disk on its head and holding a ceremonial fan. The ibis is a sacred bird representing the god Thoth, the god of wisdom, learning, and scribes. Now, remember earlier when I said the CAT scan discovered something unexpected? Similar to how the portrait of Herakleides is positioned above his face, the icon of the ibis is also positioned above the mummified remains of an actual ibis. Now, mummified animals were something that were common in ancient Egypt. However, what's unusual about this is the incorporation of the animal into Herakleides' own mummification. It isn't entirely understood what this meant to symbolize or represent. This could be interpreted in a few ways. It could have meant that Herakleides was a priest of Thoth, or it could have meant that he was a scribe, so the ibis was meant to symbolize his profession. It could have also just be that Herakleides was a devotee of Thoth, and simply wanted to be buried with an ibis to show his devotion. Below the ibis, there's another figure. This time, it's a little more recognizable as to who it is. The figure shown is Osiris, the god of the dead. Interestingly enough, in Egyptian mythology, Osiris was the first to be mummified. And finally, below the figure of Osiris is the figure of another falcon, this time alone. This falcon is shown holding feathers of Ma'at, just like the goddess figure from before. Alongside this, the falcon is wearing a solar disk on top of its head. Due to this, we can assume this is a solar deity, Herakleides. All of these icon figures are meant to serve as Herakleides' protections and guardians during his journey to the afterlife. The Egyptians had placed an immense importance on the afterlife and preparing someone for their journey to it. There were many elements that went into making sure one's journey was a success, and the depiction of gods and goddesses on the mummified remains of someone, the burial of animals that have significant meaning alongside the deceased, and even the quality and nature of one's mummy all serve as one aids and protection to said journey to the afterlife.